Ford North America have already said that from 2011 that we'll have a battery electric version of the new Focus. Given that it is a world vehicle, we have the potential to take that in Europe if we consider that there's a business case to do that.
Right. So tell us a little bit more about this car. Obviously, we saw at the Detroit Auto Show earlier this year the American spec Focus with sort of powertrain by Magna. Yep. How is this car similar? How is it different?
Okay, we're also working with Magna on this vehicle, so there are a number of shared elements between the two varieties of the electric Focuses.
Yeah.
So this vehicle will enable us to assess the potential for electric vehicles in the UK and more widely in Europe. So on the basis of that, we'll be able to make a decision whether we bring a future electric Focus to Europe.
What are the main things you need to understand because these are tests, aren't they? So presumably you're going to be logging a lot of data, you're going to be doing a lot of user research from these cars. So what's the main things that you need to understand?
Okay, we want to try and understand the real world usage of the vehicles. We need to understand what the impact of things like heating and air conditioning is on the real range that customers experience of the vehicle. We want to find out typically what the journeys that customers use the vehicles are. Because clearly, the batteries are expensive, and we need to establish where the right point in terms of capacity versus cost is to drive a vehicle that meets customer expectations.
Right.
We can have offer more range, but if that prices a vehicle out of the market, that's not a good thing to do.
Right.
So to find the right point to pitch the vehicle in terms of range and price.
Yeah.
The vehicles are scheduled to go into the first round of users in May of next year, and some of them will run for a 3-year period.
Right.
How do the sort of people that start to use electric vehicles on these trials, how are they selected?
Okay, we've got a mixture of uses for the vehicles in the project. So some of the vehicles are going to businesses or public bodies which are already identified, but we will be looking for members of the public to use the vehicles, and that will be in the Hillingdon area of West London.
Right.
So we will shortly be setting up a process for people in that area to apply.
Right.
Why Hillingdon?
Okay. We wanted
it's sort of northwest London, isn't it?
It's right on the west side of London. We were looking for an area that would benefit from electric vehicles, and Heathrow Airport is in the south end of Hillingdon. So they have
Heathrow's under enormous pressure at the moment as well, isn't it, to get CO2 emissions down from vehicle traffic, so that it kind of gets this third runway, basically, and all that kind of thing.
Yeah, so it was a good borough from that point of view. It's a borough with poor public transport links, because the public transport tends to run east-west through the borough, whereas the borough runs north-south. So it's not good from a public transport point of view. And additionally, because we were working with Scottish and Southern, and we were looking for an area where they were the electricity distributor, and they have a chunk of West London, and one of the key boroughs that they serve is West London.
Yeah. Are you only putting 15 vehicles in the trial? Is that enough? Is that a big enough sample in terms of to be able to understand the sort of average customer usage, as a representative sample? Would you have liked to put more cars out there?
Yes, there could have been some advantages from having a larger trial, but obviously this is a difficult time in the motor industry, so there's a limit to how much we can commit to a project of this nature. But we will be, it's not that the vehicles will be in the hand of a single user for the time period. So the plan at the moment is that we will cycle the vehicles every 3 months, which we feel is long enough for someone to get used to an electric vehicle, rather than it just being something they're not very confident with. So they've got the time to get confidence with the vehicle, time to experience it once they're familiar with it, and then after 3 months we'll circulate those.
I see. So although there are only 15 vehicles, basically what you're saying is some of them could be out there for up to 3 years, but they spend 3 months.
Different households a year using them, so it all adds up over time.
Right. Yeah. So you do get a different group of representative users. I see. There's a lot to talk about raw data logging, but not very much about the intangible stuff. And it's kind of I think that's important when you consider that most people buy a car ultimately for intangible reasons.
How it makes them feel.
Yeah.
It's like how does an electric car make somebody feel?
Absolutely.
And I guess as engineers we're good at the hard data logging, not so good about the feeling side of it. There are a number of components to the work the research we'll be doing. There is, for all of the vehicles involved in this exercise, not just the Ford vehicles, there is what they term the user perception study, which I believe there'll be external consultants preparing that, and they'll be used with all of the vehicle users. But we will also be developing our own studies to explore with the users their feelings towards the vehicle, as well as my engineering hat, the data on the vehicles and the charge points and everything else. So we'll be approaching it from a number of perspectives. We'll have the hard data from data logging from various sources, as well as trying to understand from dialogue with the users, focus groups or something, what the perceptions